Hey everybody, today I'm doing a special request. I had a comment asking how to get the badge off the front fascia of the car, how to remove that, and whether I could make a video to show that. So I'm going to dig in here, I'll show you in a moment. And by the way, if you like these videos, please hit subscribe. I'm still working to build my channel and your support is welcome. But let me show you where I'm going here. So as we think about this badge and want to remove this badge, this is really important. Don't pry on this badge. Don't try to, it will not come off. It is not glued on. And it is screwed on with nuts that are on the back side. And if you pry on it, you'll break it. And you may even damage the front fascia, the bumper cover. So absolutely, there's a temptation that most of these badges are like the ones on the rear are just on with adhesive. This one is not on with adhesive, and so you need to be able to get down into the back side, and I'll show you how to get there and do that. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze, but you can reach in the back and get to the back side of it and undo the nuts that are holding it tight. And it's actually fairly difficult to reach because you can't get to it from the bottom underneath because the bumper is in the way. And actually when I took mine off to paint, I took the whole nose off all the way across, you know, the whole bumper, and then this was easy to reach. The way I'm going to go at this is I'm going to pull off the air intake and the air cleaner assembly and then come in underneath, and I'll show you what it takes to get down there. First off, it may depend which car you're working on, because some of the other cars with some of the other engines other than tuned port may have a different inlet. I'm going to work on this assuming you got a tuned port car, and like mine. But first thing is to get the clamp off the air cleaner. And it's a conventional clamp, so it's still got a 5/16, or you can use a straight bladed screwdriver on it. But you just need to be able to have that loose enough so it'll come loose. I don't think I do yet, so let's go a little further. And then you pop these guys off here in the front. If you've had one of these cars, you've probably already done that a couple times, but they're just like quarter turn type fasteners. And then you have two choices. Let's see if I can get away with just rotating it out of the way today and not disconnecting that connector. And then pull out the air filters and flip those guys upside down so they don't get junk on the clean side. Then we got a couple of push pins here that you can lift with a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. And then pop that out. There we go. Then down the front here, you've got a number of screws to take out, and these guys are 7 millimeters, and you can use a small ratchet or whichever, but I kind of like using this screwdriver. It just drives a socket. front. Goes up in my tool tray. And then this piece, wiggle it a little bit. It just lifts out. Set that aside. Then once you get the air filter out, you've got access to the back. So once you have the air filter piece out, air cleaner assembly, we'll come down in here, and you got the beam here that connects the headlights, holds the headlights in, and there you can see those two nuts. Get my hand in here in the right place, try to get you some light. Up here is where the badge attaches, and it's two nuts. It's plastic posts on the badge, and it takes a 13mm socket, which you can, it's kind of a tight squeeze, but you can get that in there. And you could either use a 13mm end wrench or you can use a ratchet. I've got these seated. I'm not going to take them off this morning, but that's where they're located. So they're below the headlight beam, which is up here, and above the bumper beam reinforcements there, so you kind of got to sneak in between. But the main thing to remember is don't ever try to pry it off the front side, because you got some really big nuts holding things back there, and it'll make a mess out of it. So anyway, that's how that goes together. And then when you're finished, if you undo those two screws, the badge will just lift right out of there, right out of that little recess. So then we can drop this back together. Put this air filter piece back down in. Go the opposite way and make sure I get those pins, plastic pins, started. Get them in the holes first. Make sure that those are lined up. And then we'll sneak in here. Just to give you a better look. So you got one there, and these are the push pins. You can push that one in, push that one in, and then those are the 4 screws. So you got one here, one over here, and one over here, and the one in the center isn't connected to the air cleaner, so you can leave it alone. And those are the only ones you need. So then filters will go back in, and the air cleaner assembly can drop back in. And I should note, just for if you haven't taken one of these, there is a connector on the bottom of the mass airflow sensor on these early cars. Later cars didn't have a mass airflow sensor. I forget what year they switched, but there's a connector here, and it's easier to get that connector loose after you get a little room for your hands underneath. I did not disconnect that today because I kind of avoid disconnecting it. This wire's loose here, so it can slide forward. I don't want to strain the wires, so you want to be careful how far you stretch them. But all of these connectors have a lifetime to them. And the more times you disconnect and connect these computer sensored wires, the more chance that you wear a pin and end up with an intermittent connection. When I worked in the industry and I saw some of the specifications, you know, the connectors are only made to go back, come apart and go together at full performance for a certain number of cycles. And so if you took these things apart every day, you'd wear the connector out and have to put, you know, repin it, put new pins in, which means having the right crimp tools and so forth. So we'll get that, get the rubber bellows back up to the stops on the front here. Push down and turn to latch these connectors on the air filter. Have to go down and keep turning them until they line up and drop in, and then they're only a quarter turn to latch them, like so. And then we'll take the 5/16. Run that clamp back down so that the air cleaner is solid. That can come loose. Everything is tied down. So that's how you get access to the back of the badge so that you can remove it. And then you can take it off and clean it, or put on a new one, and it just pushes back in, and you put those screws on the back and reinstall the air cleaner. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze in there, and maybe there's a better way, but I haven't found one. You know, if I've been down underneath the bumper and the fascia, and it might be that if you pulled out the fog lights, you might be able to squeeze your hand in there. But no, this is, I think, the best way. So I hope that helps you. And again, if you like my channel, you like my videos, please subscribe.